All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Chopping It Up with PScott. I'm Prescott Kelly. Today is Sunday, September 22nd. Glad to have you back with us. On the mic, we got my guy, Lashawn Brown. Today, we're going to discuss why are people calling for the cover two defense to be disbanded, Bryce Young, potential trade destinations for him, if he's on the block, if we believe it or not, upset of the week. I'm going to get Lashawn's his input on my PScott's picks along with his parlays, and we'll kind of go against each other. And also, fun little wrinkle if we got time, I have an ESPN trivia game next to me. If you're willing and down, I don't want to blindside you like that, but I want to get all the Avengers on, and we need to have like a contest. That's what we need to do.
That sounds good to me, man. Thanks for having
Right?
me on the show.
Absolutely, man. I always appreciate your time and coming in and doing this with me. So the other day, I mentioned I was listening to the Dominique Foxworth show, because what I try to do is the shows that I listen to are smart people. Bomani Jones, Dominique Foxworth, like those are the shows that I incorporate myself with, because I know they're smart intellectuals, and Dominique obviously played in the NFL, and he's entertaining while he does it as well. He's a really entertaining and easy listen. And I never heard of this until that show the other day, where apparently somebody and people are talking about just getting rid of the cover two defense or wanting to. And Adam West, who's a Bears fan, is the one who gave me the link for, I guess, Mel Kiper, is the one who suggested this. And I have never heard of this preposterous thing in my entire life. What are your thoughts on disbanding the cover two, and where did it come from, and what are your thoughts? Because I need the quarterback in you. I need to know what you are about right now.
Man, when I first heard it, because I like Lavelle had sent the text, and he was like, "What are your thoughts about disbanding the cover two?" And I was like, whoever came up with that was smoking crack that morning and decided to broadcast it. There is no way in hell the league will ever disband a defensive look. They already gave so much towards the offense. They're not going into defensive strategy now. So, and the thing is about this whole cover two thing is, my thing is that if you're playing one coverage all the time, especially on early downs, in which that's what this is all about, that these guys have a problem with. 9 times out of 10, when teams pass on first down, they're going to throw on second down if that first down pass is incomplete. So
Yeah.
now they're just like, all right, we're going to, change up our look from cover two to maybe a cover three or cover one, because now we can stack the box, because you're going to run the ball, because you want a third and manageable situation here. So I'm like, for Mel Kiper to come out and say this, and for ESPN to run it as bad as they did, it's mind-boggling in my opinion. Like, and also it's also on the quarterbacks, because for them not to dissect a cover two, in which it's very easy to dissect a cover two. All you have to do is have a slot guy or a tight end take out the middle linebacker in the middle of the field, have those split safeties stay split, and have a backside dig come under it. It's pretty simple to dissect a cover two, man.
It's wild, because like I know that the couch potato fan, the armchair quarterback, is always going to say it's super easy to do, and I'm not going to do that, because at 40, and never playing football either, I'm not going to tell you it's that easy to dissect. But having somebody on the squad who's done it before, that makes it easier to digest for me as the regular fan, bro.
It's mind-boggling, but also you got to remember, like, offensive line play is down, man. So that's another reason why you can play cover two, because you got a front four that can wreak havoc up there on the offensive line. And now all of a sudden, instead of the quarterback having 2.5, 3 seconds, they don't even have that much time, because the tackle or guard or the center got wrecked into the quarterback. So it happens, man. And it's all part of the game. But let's stop this take a certain coverage away from the defense, because other young quarterbacks can't dissect it.
I think it's wild to me, because like really, there's only been a handful of defenses through the course of the NFL. Anyways, it's just variations of it, and really, the skills of players have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, so just the athlete nowadays is completely different. You mentioned like the speed of like the offensive line and how quickly I get the ball out is because these pass rushers are not Bruce Smith. I'm not knocking Bruce Smith, obviously, because I'm just saying, like, you look at how these guys look, perform, the speed. Everybody runs a 4.4 now, bro. It's crazy. Like, you don't have 4 seconds to just drop back and do what you used to do. So the speed of the game, I think, has changed. On top of the fact that I've been saying this for a couple of years now, and a lot of folks don't just want to listen, is that these quarterbacks and these coordinators and these coaches are so damn scared to do anything. They are like, they have protected the football so much where now that it's Gardner Minshew can't be the dude who wants to break cover two
Mm-mm.
and just break the system entirely. It's wild to me. Because I do feel like they're just so intimidated by we can't lose the ball at all. And you can still attack these cushions, right?
Yeah, of course you can. It's just gotta have the right route combinations. If you don't have the right route combinations, and excuse me, you'll have a quarterback that's gonna force the ball, and you're gonna turn over the ball. Now everybody's calling that quarterback trash. They're not gonna blame the coach. A lot of the fans are
No.
not gonna blame the coach. They're gonna blame that quarterback. They're not gonna blame the offensive line. They're gonna blame that quarterback.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. The one of the biggest things that has bothered me throughout, not really like just, I feel like sports media in general can be super lazy, but just people on the internet
Mhm.
where the blanket dumb statement is, I didn't like that play call, and they like it's so annoying, bro.
The only time when I will hate a play call, like, okay, Washington versus Washington State last weekend. It's fourth down, fourth and one, fourth and goal from the one. You're on the short side of the field and you run a speed option. That coach, that offensive coordinator should have been fired after the game. You should never call a run play to the short side of the field. That's in college, but in the NFL, 9 times out of 10, like last weekend, the Browns threw the ball on third and like 6, knowing all they had to do is just run the ball, keep the clock going. But no, they chose to pass the ball, and Watson throws an incompletion. In my opinion, I'm like, I get the play call, but if I'm Watson, I'll take the sack there. But
You
I
know
don't
what
take the
ruined?
play call.
You know what ruined running short side of the field? Madden, because there was a glitch like 6 years ago where like the offensive line protection was better. It was the blocking scheme was better on
Like,
the
come
short
on, man. Is it
side.
fans like I get it, like with the all 22, everybody wants to be, their own person, thinking saying they're dissecting the game and everything. But if you don't have the proper knowledge to know what you're talking about, then you're pretty much talking bullshit, in my opinion.
No, I think you're right. And what I found, I mentioned this a couple of years ago, and this was something where um, this is when the Patriots had Cam Newton as their quarterback, and I realized that because the one thing about Belichick is he's always zigged when others have zagged. Right, a lot of people have gone to these small, light linebackers, corners, defensive linemen, things like that, and he was always going heavy. And even when Cam Newton was their quarterback and their offensive roster was the worst thing I've ever seen on a professional football field,
Mm-hmm.
they were still winning 9 games because what they were doing is just mauling people up front. So when you get this cover two thing, it's why the or just the disconnect of we got to pass the ball all the time is if you're replicating. This has always bothered me, and I want to get your perspective on this. Is the short passing game is just a substitution for the run game? Well,
Yep.
then why don't you just use the run game if you're doing these ridiculous flat routes and quick throws and getting 3 yards? Why don't you just actually utilize the run game? Because your offensive linemen should be able to push around these lighter defensive ends, lighter linebackers,
And
and
especially when the box is like,
exactly. And that's what blows my mind, dude, is the fact that everything's ran as shotgun now. Get under center, bro. Like your play action is gonna be more effective. To me, at least, maybe I'm missing on something because I know that like the RPO is a cross pollination of the play action, but like to me, it's just get under center a little bit more. I don't know, man. Like,
solve it. You solved it right there. Like if you're gonna play cover two, all right, I'm gonna take my butt. I'm under the center right there. Man, we can live with 3-4 yards a pop on a run play because now if you're gonna play that cover two and I go play action and that safety just creep up a few steps, that's a win for me because now I can slip somebody behind you on that coverage. So it's pretty simple, man. It's just
and I don't want
fans
to be,
and some of the media, they don't understand the game, and it's hard sometimes.
and I don't want to be somebody who can speak for offensive linemen, but I would imagine that if you're in the trenches like that, you don't want to be backpedaling all the time. You just want to know that you are going to smack some dude in the face. And
Over and over and over again.
to quote Marshawn Lynch, over and over and over again.
That's all you have to do, man. Just run the ball a few times. If you run it a few times, now that defense have to start being like, all right, we can't keep playing cover two here on first down because now we're setting ourselves for failure.
Does that mean that indirectly I got Lashawn Brown to finally admit that maybe running backs?
No,
matter?
don't do that. No, because I don't have some people like, oh, so what you're trying to say is running backs matter? No, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that. Just use them effectively. Use them effectively. Like I see that the passing touchdowns are down, but that's also because offensive line play, quarterback play, especially a whole bunch of these quarterbacks did not play during the preseason. They coming in rusty, so of course numbers are going to be down, and the running backs numbers are up. I get that. Like I look at J.K. Dobbins, he's averaging 9 yards a carry,
which is absurd, dude. Like that's some college level stuff, man.
Exactly.
That's like Oklahoma playing Louisiana Lafayette every single week.
We all know that that's not going to hold. Like he's going against the Steelers today, so I'm expecting it to be tough running for him.
Oh, it's going to be not good for him. We get to the chat real quick. So Brad, we were talking about the cover two thing. He goes, that's why the 3 Mississippi rule should be in effect. Could you imagine if that, oh my God, dude, that
Listen, all right. I don't know if anybody ever played like 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 flag football. On 9 blitz and downs that you don't blitz, you had to count to 3 Mississippi, and you got to count it out loud.
You got to yell at joint.
Yeah. Imagine that in the NFL. Come on, man.
It's already bad enough. We had NFL Street to kind of do that too, man. We don't have to make this real life.
It's all bad, man.
And Paul Wizzo said, what up, P? Paul Wizzo's a good dude, man. Like, I'm not sure if anybody who follows my pages follow when I share his stuff, but he's a good dude in the Texas area and covers a lot more topics than I do. That's for sure. He's a real good dude, though. I appreciate your support, Paul. What we'll do is I want to move on to the next topic at hand, which is Bryce Young trade locations. So when I brought this up the other day, like me and Uncle Phil had an opportunity to kind of speak on this face to face, but I put it on the page and I put, the 6 or 7 teams I thought would be good trade destinations to kind of resurrect his career if he wanted to be a starter, not right away, obviously. But I put teams like, the Dolphins, the Steelers. I probably should have pulled it up before I just went and did that. The Saints, teams that either A, have older quarterbacks that are on their way out or have kind of faded and underperformed, or like the Steelers who have 2 quarterbacks and no quarterbacks at the exact same time. And I think Miami is a good place. I think Miami is one of those places where I'm interested in
emergency if Tua retires.
Do you think that Tua retires this year?
No.
I don't think so either.
He'll come back.
Especially because they're giving him an extended, IR stint. Like it half the year is what they're giving as opposed to like just the 4-week mark. I think that he's really gonna reflect, but I don't see him retiring either. But Miami was one of the teams that I was thinking of largely because do you think that he's better than Skylar Thompson?
Yeah.
Because I've seen Skylar Thompson play with this group of players before, and it's not good. And if you're not sure what you're going to get out of Tua and he's still in his rookie deal, to me, Miami seems like the ideal place, along with Pittsburgh having the defense. And they've got some offensive players.
Yeah.
Just that division, the AFC North is just that. I feel like they're going to break him more than anything else.
Yeah. McDaniels will coach him up. He'll coach Bryce up because of that system, that Shanahan system, in which I'm surprised that 75% of the teams in the league don't run that system because it's a quarterback-friendly system.
It's always been wild to me because like it is something where if if it's just a system and you're claiming as a head coach, you're claiming that you're in the lab 20 hours a day doing what you're doing, you haven't been able to pick up on the coaching scheme that the Shanahans and the McVays have been running. You're telling me that you spend all that time in the office, you never see your family to be the best football coach ever, and you can't pick up on that and replicate it?
Nope.
To me, I do, man. I call as well.
It's hard, man, because you got to have the offensive line. You got to be able to run it precisely, because you got to run the same looks, same steps, and everything. Except only thing is just with the play action.
Well, just me, like for me, it's just like if you know what the system is and you want to replicate it, then look for the same things, right? Like, this isn't a new thing. The whole Shanahan tree has been a thing for 30 years.
Yep.
And if you're trying to replicate that, find the O-line that you need, wait
Yep.
on running backs. Like it should, if that is the blueprint, especially on the offensive side, we'd all just have 1,000-yard rushers from guys who were undrafted free agents from Georgia Tech, basically.
Nope. It's tough, man. And I'll say this: coaches love to outcoach themselves, and their egos has no bounds.
Right.
Because they think like, hey, I'm gonna do it my way, and if you can't get behind me on this, then you got to go. That's a lot of football coaches. I say a lot of coaches, period.
So, and that's something that's been interesting to me as far as when we mentioned the Shanahan system is with Kyle, the word, and we've kind of talked about fans trying to think that they know more than they do, or coaches outsmarting themselves. With Shanahan, what we've heard through the grapevine is he wants a submissive quarterback because I can do it with anybody.
Yep.
When this comes up with Purdy with his contract, what do you think is going to happen with that? Because he's the dude who we thought was going to be like a combination kind of Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo, like not as athletic as Trey, but not as statuesque as
Jimmy.
Garoppolo, better accuracy, but he also has the ability to not be scared of the big throw. But we've seen that when he doesn't have at least even one of the Avengers, this team doesn't.
Listen, I'll say this, man. Losing that game last week, I'm sure Kyle and John sat up there in that front office. They're just like, listen, he's going to come to us and he's going to want to ask for like $55-58 million. And they could, the head coach and the GM could sit there and be like, listen, watch this game here, watch this film here. For you to want that type of money, you're not that guy to get it. And for that, here, hey, we can give you about at most $50 million a year.
See, and this is the thing for me is my words always get twisted. What I always say, you can't pay that dude. I'm going off the metrics of what the NFL salaries have been, which is, oh, that starting quarterback got that money. I want that plus $1. I'm not paying you that. So I'm with you. It's not that I wouldn't want Brock Purdy to be a starting quarterback for me, but I'm not going to pay him the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen, the Joe Burrow money. But also, if he doesn't sign, we got to restart it. But that always comes back to the Shanahan thing of, I went to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't need you, dog. Like, I feel like they are willing, and this might be the first time we've seen this in a long time, where the front office is like, I don't care what you've done for us lately. I'm not paying you because the roster we put around you
is that good.
Where I don't need you, which is wild because that does make, to me, that actually does make the Trey Lance trade up pick one of the worst trades in NFL history, based on you've done this beforehand and gave up so much for that dude, and you got like what, a 5th rounder back when you traded into Dallas.
Yeah, pennies.
To me, that was a big whiff. Or maybe we just don't pick North Dakota State quarterbacks anymore. Maybe we just do that.
Hey, listen, I heard about they got an NFL style quarterback up there now, and I'm just like, stay away. Buyers beware.
You're about to be the Alabama and USC of like the 2000s. Of we don't want you, dog. How come he don't want me?
Exactly. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like, listen, man, the people before you, they tricked us.
I know, right? Well, as far as the other teams I had on that thing for Bryce, because I had Dolphins Saints. So I pulled it up because I wanted to, re-educate myself on what I had originally posted. Was Dolphins, Saints, Jets, Steelers, Titans, Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are the best move out of all of them because I'm not really. To me, Gino's still Gino, and they at least have legitimate offensive threats
Yeah,
in Seattle. I feel like that's a place where he could get traded to, sit for the year, and then maybe pick up steam and maybe resurrect his career as a starter there.
yeah, exactly. You just got to have the coaching staff to be patient with him because coming in being the number one draft pick, man, you see how it is. There's no patience with these guys, man. If you're not developing,
Zero,
if you're
man.
not showing any type of progress, they will move up off of you, man. And the NFL stands not for long, man. And it doesn't matter what your draft status was.
Now, yes and no, because we've seen these top 5 quarterbacks who have kind of floundered get multiple gigs, like the Zach Wilsons and the Sam Darnolds. I feel like even if he doesn't succeed, obviously he hasn't so far. I'm not defending Bryce because his play has been bad, but that organization has absolutely failed him as
Yeah,
well.
the owner.
Is being the number one overall pick, I think still buys him the opportunities to bounce around as a journeyman. And maybe he gets, we're seeing it right now with Sam Darnold. JJ was supposed to be their starter week 1 anyways. It's not like Sam Darnold was supposed to be their starter
Yep.
from the get-go. Like he's still benefiting from another injury. But yeah, I just feel like if Bryce gets in the right situation, gets
He can
coached up,
produce.
yeah, and kind of like with Tua, like when Tua had Brian Flores, man, like he didn't want him, they didn't want him. They were basically treating it like a pitching rotation with him and Fitzmagic.
Yeah, Fitz Magic.
And then you got McDaniel who actually shows the interest and the love. Like I think if he gets that kind of
Coaching.
that coaching and nurturing sounds like a sissy term when you're talking about football, but like you still need to be shown that you have value, that the person who's investing their time into you actually believes in you as well, man.
I'm hoping that Andy Dalton don't come out here and light up the Raiders, man.
Yo, if he does, it's gonna
look bad.
That's the worst thing that could possibly happen. What you need is the Panthers to look more competitive, but Dalton throw like 1 touchdown and then a pick 6 to end the game because they're like, we're still the Panthers, dog.
Yeah.
We're still the Panthers. Like that's what Bryce Young needs more than anything for his confidence right now.
Like it's been a horrible week for him, man. And I felt so bad. I was just like, man.
So before I move on to the upset of the week, Uncle Phil and I talked about the benching of Bryce. Did you think it was the right thing to do with him, or would you have still played him through this season?
You still got to play him. You got to see some progress. This is 2 systems in 2 years now. And it's only 2 games into the season now. You got to keep giving. I'll say if it was like 8-9 games, I get it. But 2 games, no, we can't do this, man.
And I think it's weird too because like Canales is their new head coach.
Yeah.
So
and he's supposed to be a quarterback whisperer.
Right. This is where these dynamics are really interesting, is because he's the new coach. He didn't want Bryce. Is this him just trying to like assert his dominance and say, this is my squad? But the weird thing is like he's not coaching for his job. He's 2 years in. Also, that's not fair either because Tepper's his owner, so he could get fired on Wednesday.
These billionaire owners don't know how to stay up out of shit. My excuse my French, but they don't.
I've always wondered, is that actually a French word? Because I don't know when people say that now.
But I look at like Jimmy Haslam for the Browns, man. Like when he first bought the team, he wanted to know everything that's going on. You can know what everything that's going on, but you stay up out the way. You don't interfere. You're not a football guy. You're the owner. We get that. But
yeah,
you sitting up here, you want to draft Johnny Manziel and everything. Like, what are we doing here?
He's
that
trying
set
to
us back 5 years because you want to do that. And now Tepper's doing the same thing. He's going to set his franchise back 5 years. Probably even more than that.
He's going to send them out. He's going to send them to Clemson is what he's about to do, man.
Like, I look at what he gave up to get Bryce. And now you look at the Bears. Who's not to say that the Bears don't – who's not to say that they don't become a dynasty?
So I know that – and now that you mentioned that, I think that it's funny because Caleb Williams has looked underwhelming.
Yeah.
I guess is the word that I could best use. But Allen's been injured. Adunze's a rookie as well. if you're looking at the short term, yeah, he's based on the hype. The word bust to me should not even be floated around yet after 2 games and with the injuries,
When
especially
I hear people say that, I just instantly laugh. I'm like, you don't know football.
right. Yeah, I'm like, I'm done with you, dog. Like we're not doing this.
Like, we're not doing 2 games into his career. Oh, he's a bust, huh? What are you talking about? Did he
And like,
come out and throw like 5 picks in the first half or something? No.
well, and that's just, and it's so weird because like there's no definitive lineage of where you are your first 4 games to what you end up, because we don't really remember unless we are really handpicking when we want to be right versus when we want to be wrong. The whole
Yep.
Peyton Manning first game through 3 picks. If that happened today,
Who imagine if social media was back then for
bro, it would have been wild.
mm-hmm.
But it's like Caleb just hasn't looked great. Like he hasn't looked terrible, but he hasn't looked great. Like, and I think that's the thing. And I mentioned this on the first week of the NFL season was that's got to be a relief for him to win and not have to carry your squad. It's got to feel great.
I instantly came out and said that for people that love to use quarterback wins, I'm like, all you have to do is look at Caleb Williams' stats and like, did he deserve that win? He was just there, but he didn't deserve it. So please spare me these quarterback win stats, man.
Well, that's always been my argument when it comes to the whole the fan base trying to dictate and interject when they don't belong. Like we can't lose this guy. And I've made this. I don't think it's that hard to comprehend, really, when you have the track record of like Jimmy Garoppolo, Blake Bortles, Mitch Trubisky, like these guys who, if you have, I've always said if you can be generationally great on one side of the ball, you can still win games. So those guys I just mentioned,
Yep.
even with Blake Bortles, that defense when they had Jalen Ramsey and Bouye, that squad was ridiculous.
Yes, it was.
And we can't lose Blake Bortles. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz, Jared Goff to me is still mid. Like it's just there's so many representations. That's why when I say don't pay these guys, it's not don't pay them, but the market has been set where they're not going to turn it down because of you dummies.
and the money's just there, and it's just like, hey, we got to pay somebody right now instantly, because if we don't, the market's going to go up. And who's not to say, like Carson Wentz situation when he got hurt, and
Nick Foles.
the Eagles was headed to the playoffs. They made a Super Bowl run, won it all, but yet and still they end up paying Wentz on top of it because he was going to be the MVP that season.
Yeah.
So I get it. Like, you try to get out in front of it before the price of the brick goes up.
And because I do, like, I understand the business metrics of it. I just don't subscribe to the rule, because if we really only have 3 great quarterbacks, why the hell am I going to pay? Why would I hand pick any one of 20 different quarterbacks and pay them roughly the same money when I can get roughly the same outcome? I'd rather just reallocate my money someplace else.
And the thing is, I'll look at Patrick Mahomes because I'm like, he's halfway through his 10-year deal, right? Who's not to say that after the season that he goes back to Kansas City and be like, listen, let's rip this up. Give me a new deal.
Right.
Hey, Dak just got 231. How about if you give me 250 guaranteed?
Oh, and that's the thing about salary cap sports for me, is that I wish that they weren't. I wish that everything was not salary cap, because these owners can't control themselves. I want them to just even
Just
the
go
draft.
broke. Go broke.
I've been talking about this forever. Like, I understand what people like have draft parties and want to get geeked up for, but I wish the draft wasn't even a thing. No, you want to bet how good that college kid is? Prove it. Prove me that your scouting's that good, dog.
Man, oh man. Then who? Like, I get what you're saying, but leave that one away from basketball. Leave that away from basketball.
Oh my
Other
god.
sports, I'm all open for. You let that happen to the NBA, yeah. You see how Boston and LA had the 80s back then? It'll happen all over
It's a
again.
wrap.
No.
Well, we'll go ahead and move on to what you consider to be the upset of the week. So yesterday I'd ask you, like, what do you constitute a true upset in the NFL? You said anybody who's an underdog by more than or 6 points or more and flat out wins. We don't have a lot of those games this week. If you pick one of those games, and especially because the line moves based on when you place your bet, but on either that 5 or 6 point underdog who do you think is like the true upset of the week?
This week, I'll say, in my opinion, it'll be the Giants up over Cleveland
On the money line.
on the money line.
Oof.
And I'll say this is because my Browns still got question marks up there on the offensive line. And what's the strength of the Giants? Their defensive line. Pretty simple. All the Giants have to do is don't lose the game, Daniel Jones. Don't turn the ball over. It's okay to punt the ball back to Cleveland's offense because I still don't trust Deshaun Watson. Like he had a one drive, and that was the first drive of the game. Other than that, it was pretty pedestrian, in my opinion. He made a couple throws, but I got to see more. And I would not be surprised to see if the Giants beat the Browns today.
Sorry, when you said it's okay to punt, it just reminded me of the Titan situation and their head coach. They were better off.
Listen, man, when I saw that play happen and I seen his reaction, I'm like, he had every right to say that to him right then and there in public.
Oh, it's so wild because this is only his second game coaching, right? Or was he their head coach last year?
No,
He's new.
He's the new coach, Brian Callahan.
Man, he I get it because like you can't lose. I've never been in the locker room in a football scenario, but I do know that like you can't lose the dudes who are supposed to believe in your quarterback. And if you don't think you have a quarterback, let everybody else know it ain't your fault, man. Yep. It's his.
Because I'm sure, like behind closed doors, he's cussing the hell out of Levis right there. And he's doing it in front of the whole team. You got to do that in front of the whole team. It just can't be one-on-one. Because if you just do a one-on-one, now that team be like, all right, man, we don't know if he's the right guy to push us ahead here. But by him doing it in front of everybody, that team's going to still keep playing hard for him.
I think so too, because you always run these weird scenarios where it's the battle of you don't want to out your quarterback in public, or you don't want to ostracize any player in public. Mm-hmm. But when it's that egregious, you can't just say, oh, he's got to be better. We'll work on it next week. No, this is not, we're on to Cincinnati. No, this needs to be addressed.
And it was a red zone interception. You know what they lost by? By 7.
The score to me is always, you can lose by 7, but did you get blown out in the first half and then maybe you crawl back? But no, the timing matters sometimes, and especially on
winning and driving in the red zone, and he does that.
But you're full blown on. So that's actually one of my picks for PScott's picks, but not the Giants straight up. Because I just don't know if the Giants can manufacture enough points
offensively. They can't generate enough points offensively. Defensively, they could. Oof. The special teams, they could. I think back to the Cowboys game week 1. Their special team scored. They got 3 turnovers. Yeah, it can happen.
It definitely can. I feel, you know what? I just need to be honest with myself, because as a Bills fan and being hurt for so long, I become kind of the subsequent Browns fan because I feel your pain, bro. Like, and I'm like, no, it's the Giants, dog. It's Daniel Jones. I refuse to believe that they're gonna lose to the Giants.
It's just, man, I try to tell fans, I'm like, keep your expectations low, man, because when you give them high expectations, that's where the pain comes in at, man.
You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. And also, to quote Ray Lewis, I'm a machine. You can't hurt me, jerk. Like, you can't hurt me. CR says, is that velvet? I mean, you already know what it is. That's a gift from the wifey. I told Lashawn at the beginning of the show, I'm trying to get a corncob pipe for next week. Next week's live is going to be real lit. I don't really have, as far as a game where I believe that like a straight up victory could be had with those types of spreads. I don't see one. I see where you're coming from though. But what I'd like to do is get into PScott's picks, and I want you to give me your I want you to give me your reaction to my bets, and then you have a parlay going on, and I want you to throw yours out there as well. So game 1 of my 5-game parlay, I'll say the Chiefs and Falcons for last because that's Monday night. So I'll try to do a better job of chronological order. So Bears at Colts. When I locked this in yesterday, the Bears were +1 against the Colts. I actually think they'll win this game straight up, but it changed to 1.5. I don't like Indy's run defense, and I'm hoping that Chicago will utilize their their run game a little bit more. I know there's no Keenan Allen, but I'm hoping that Rome Odunze has a big game, and I think it's going to be ugly, but I think Bears +1 over the Colts. What are your thoughts?
You're absolutely right. And their pass defense is, in my opinion, one of the best in the league. And I could see Anthony Richardson struggling to get any passes off. So,
yeah, it feels like Anthony Richardson is either going to give you two touchdown passes over 60 yards, or he's going to have like a 12% completion percentage. Like, I don't know which one I'm going to get.
Like, he struggled badly last week against the Packers, and I was just like, if you can't fix, I get it that he only had a limited amount of starts, but you got to see some progress with him. And I get it, everybody's in love with his powerful arm, but let's see some intermediate and short passes.
CR says, let's pray that you're all right because they can't run block. But the thing for me is, like, I'm not really scared about Indianapolis, Indy, whatever you want to do with the Colts. Is Pierce is not a great wide receiver. I think that Michael Pittman, I've never been high on him. Maybe I'm just a hater. I don't know.
I couldn't believe he got a contract extension.
See, okay, so I'm not the only one. All right. But Jonathan Taylor is like the dude you got to stop. And if you can stop him, and I believe in the Bears pass rush, I believe in their run stopping ability, and their linebackers are fast as hell.
Yes.
I do think that they're going to be able to stop the run, which if you're telling me that I have to wait for Anthony Richardson to go through reads with Pierce and Pittman, I trust the defense, almost like what you were saying with the Giants, force a couple turnovers, get a lot of 3 and outs, and speed the game up, get it on the ground, get out of there as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So my next game is Texans -1.5 at the Vikings. So by the way, every game that I took road dogs.
Ooh.
On every. Well, I guess not everything was a road dog, but I took the road team because I have. So yeah. So next game is Texans -1.5 at the Vikings. I think Sam Darnold is fraudulent. I think that Derek Stingley Jr. is going to be able to do a good enough job on Justin Jefferson. I think that they'll bracket him.
That is my matchup of the week to watch, is Jettas to go against Stingley, 2 LSU guys. So
that's good. That's gonna be a fun matchup. And I know they're not gonna bracket him all the time. They're gonna have to go one-on-one enough to mix things up.
Yep.
But with no Addison, I think Darnold's fraudulent. I think that Diggs has a monster game going back to Minnesota.
Diggs revenge game.
I got Diggs' revenge game in Minnesota because Nico Collins has really asserted himself as like one of those top 10-ish wide receivers. I think they're going to give him a little bit more love. Tank Dell might have a breakout game as well.
Yeah.
But you got 3 stud dudes. The Vikings to me are fraudulent. Danielle Hunter, revenge game. We can do that too if you wanted to.
God. Yeah.
1.5. The Texans -1.5 to me. I feel like this is going to be a boat race and they win by double digits.
Okay. That's a good one to me.
You feel good about that one?
Yeah.
All right. So right now I'm 2 for 2. Next, Giants at Browns. You have Giants on the money line.
Yep.
I got Giants +6.5 only because I don't know if enough points will be scored where you really have to worry about the spread.
You're absolutely right. That's another good pick right there.
Look at me, man. Look at I know what I'm doing. I got Dolphins money line at Seattle. This is the one that I'm not super confident in.
Yeah, now this one I can't go with you on this one.
So the reason why I'm doing this is because one, they were like +220 or something like that when I picked this one. Okay. And like CL likes to say, scared money don't make money. You mentioned something that I didn't really think about that much, and I was piggybacking off of your assessment of quarterbacks is when you use a lot of motion, it's because you don't put a lot of faith in your quarterback. And we talked about Skylar Thompson and Bryce Young earlier. I know they don't have a whole lot of faith in Skylar Thompson, but I think you're going to see even more motion with A-Chain, with Hill, with Waddle. I could see them getting a little bit more creative and really confusing Seattle on the ground in certain ways. I don't feel great about it, but I got them on the money line because if I'm trying to make money, I gotta pick somewhere where it's goofy.
I wouldn't go for that one, but it's if you trust it, go for it.
I mean, I don't trust it, but this is why I do $1 and $3 parlays.
I tell Tony, I'm like, if you like it, that's your pick, man. I'm not gonna say anything to try to change your mind.
Well, remember the Panthers were really set on Bryce Young, and apparently I'm really set on the Dolphins being and the last leg of my 5-game parlay was Chiefs -3 at Falcons. I think that they're pissed off about the way they started this season. Atlanta, to me, I don't want to say they're fraudulent, but unless they can absolutely manhandle them at the line of scrimmage, which I don't think they can do, if Algier and Robinson don't basically have 100 yards apiece to be able to open up play action, I don't see this happening. I like the Chiefs beating the brakes off the Falcons, even though it's in Atlanta. It's in a dome. Mahomes never loses in a dome. To me, I feel like this is the safe pick, but I could be wrong.
Another good pick right there. I think this is the game that Mahomes steps up because last week he was one of the victims to cover 2, in which I get what he was doing. He was taking everything that they were giving him, in which that as a quarterback, that you look at Tom Brady is death by 1,000 paper cuts. As a quarterback, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Take what the defense give you. And that's what Mahomes is doing. Now I look at it this week like, okay, I'm going to come out here. Like, we haven't heard anything out of Kelsey pretty much these past 2 games. I can see him going for like 8 for 110 and a touchdown.
I can see. So when I kind of dabble across things because I like to get different people's perspectives so I can, critically think and think of this might actually be realistic as opposed to just people just talking on the side of their ass. But I stumbled upon, I can't remember who said it, but it was something about Travis Kelce, everything that was going on with Taylor Swift and the whole weaponization of Elon Musk and blah, blah, blah. And if he's supposed to be the good boyfriend, supposed to be the good emotional support animal, for lack of better terms, maybe he was more emotionally invested with her and has been a little bit distracted. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm with you. Right, when it comes to Travis Kelce, I'm at the point where I'm not going to expect the 100-yard games anymore. It's just he's going to either have those mid-level, low exception games where it's 2-3 catches, 30, 40 yards, and every once in a while you're going to see that dude break off for 8-9, $112, and a tud.
And tonight will be one of those games.
So they play Monday, but yeah, so you're locked in on Travis Kelce.
Yep, locked in because I think Atlanta's going to try to take Rashee Rice away, and the rookie. So, and seeing that Kansas City don't have any running backs, yeah, this is perfect.
Oh yeah, because Kareem Hunt isn't playing this week, is he?
He's not playing.
They signed him, but he's not playing.
Yep.
CR actually has a good one. So this isn't in my PScott's picks because I do like 3 different parlays. I always do like my 5 gamer, and then I do my 13 gamer because I'm I'm trying to retire early, dog. But he has the Cardinals beating the Lions, and I have them on the money line beating the Lions too.
I took that game. I took the total points. I took the total points over. I think that's going to be a shootout type game. But one of my parlays, I can just tell you right now, I took the Cowboys to beat Baltimore. I took the Steelers to beat the Chargers. Took the Giants to beat the Browns. And my 4th one, the Saints to beat the Eagles. Sorry, Uncle Phil. I know you probably might see this later. I'm just letting you know right now, like, hey, the Saints are on fire.
So you believe in the Saints?
For now.
Oh, man, I don't have it in me, man. I've seen Derek Carr. I've seen Derek Carr get off to hot starts like 3 or 4 seasons out of his like 32-year career, and I just don't. I can't get behind it, dog. I just can't.
Understandable, man. Understandable.
Well, I'll tell you what. I appreciate you being in here with me. The early games are starting. I know that you want to get to it. I got to start prepping my dinner because low and slow is how we get things done over here.
Understandable, bro.
All
Thank
right,
you
my
for
man. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks, Lashawn. You guys know the drill. Stay up, stay blessed. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Happy Football Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.